Hello and welcome to week 4 of Building Morak. We're still stuck with this thing. Let's go! Yes, last week we had this issue where everything was working. We had a problem, but we fixed that. But now when I switch it on and the motor goes, it goes for 3 seconds. If that, then it stops because this thing is way too heavy. So I asked for your solutions in the last video, and I got a lot of different advice, which was very helpful, so thank you. And now I need to go and try and actually do something about it, so let's get things started.
I was basically stuck between two plans, whether to either just use a bigger motor and hope if that worked, or actually build a little bit higher so it was above the actual ground layer and just have the actual movements going underneath the juggernaut while the juggernaut itself stays stationary. So we're going to try that second option first and just see how it looks, and then we'll try and use a big motor on it and see how that goes.
Okay, we are now on to doing some underbody work on the actual vehicle itself. You can see here I've moved that back and flipped on its side. That's because I need to cut out, I'm guessing I'm probably going to go for these two sections here. Rather than going from front, middle and back, I think it'll mean that this is a bit looser, this is a bit looser, and this is a bit loose. Therefore meaning that those will slightly move, giving it a little bit of motion still. So I need to cut out the interior of this one, cut out the interior of this one. And basically, I've got a big box of Technic here, and we're going to play with this, and we're going to see what we get. Okay, so you can see I've opened up the bottom of my first one of these, taken the wheels out. Not exactly sure how I'm going to reinsert those, but you can see I've got my first sub-assembly here, which is basically just a nice little bit of Technic, which should fit smoothly into there. And then you can see that is separated from the bottom, so I can build down from that into the actual ground. So now I need to reconstruct this with that Technic beam in the middle, recreate it there, and I will see you after I've done that. Okay, so I've installed my two little stopper type things. In hindsight, looking at it like this, they do look really small, but they are quite, like, wedged in there with Technic and whatnot, so they should stay quite strong, hopefully. And yeah, I need to just lock these into place and then flip it upside down, attach them, and hopefully it doesn't look awful. Wahey!
Okay then, so here is the beautiful canvas which we're going to be working on today. Basically this big central section between my two rows where the tires are going to be. My plan is to just fill this up so that the top layer is reddish brown and dark brown all the way down here, just so that it looks interesting and detailed, because you will still be able to see under here slightly under the wheels, so I want to make sure that it doesn't look completely ugly like the underside of the rest of this build does. So yeah, I'm going to fill that up just now and get back to you once I've finished. See you then.
Okay, so you can see I've actually got some detailing on this mock. Whoa, it's been long enough till we've actually seen something which will appear on the final build. Because all of this stuff will be hidden, so this will actually be the front of my plane. The reason I've gone for reddish brown over like lighter color is purely just so that I can use these pieces. And as mentioned earlier, I really want to go for that trick, for that track or treaded technique as used in that Jurassic Park set, because I think that is really, it's something that you look at and something that really works for this mock. So therefore I've got to use reddish brown for this section, but I will be moving into other lighter colors as I move into the tree line. But I've also got some dark brown here just so it doesn't stay completely boring. But this is the only color this is the only other natural color it comes in, at least as of now. Because you could have like, I think it also comes in black, dark bluish grey and white as well. But none of that would really fit. Maybe dark bluish grey for some rocks, but then that wouldn't really work with the tread technique. So I'm quite happy with this. You can see if I move upwards, I've actually left the gaps, those 1x6 gaps next to all of the different plates that move. That's purely to just stop that issue we had earlier. And I'd rather have some small gaps here which don't really be seen, Because, like, when I move it down, this will be the angle you mainly see it at, and there's just more brown there. So, like, moving that, it's just brown on brown. You don't see anything else. I don't find it too bad, especially when the main Juggernaut will be on top of all this. So, like, you can see the detailing here is not spectacular. It's quite minimal, but that's purely just to represent different types of mud and things like that. But this will all mainly be covered up, so you won't see a majority of this. But you can see I've left a lot of studs here and a lot of studs here, because that's where those two underside platforms are going to click into. So let's actually place the Juggernaut. Let's do it, guys. Okay, so you can see that I've installed my Juggernaut as it is, and you can see that actually under detailing some of this was not a bad idea, because you can actually see quite a lot of the sections. I am happy I gave some detail towards that. My issue, however, is by just putting, like, basically stands on this piece and this piece here, I clearly have not taken into account the weight of the Juggernaut. And because these three are obviously the same weight, because they're built the exact same way, the back and especially the front are actually quite significantly different in their weight. So you can see when I pull back, it's got kind of a bend to it. Now, believe it or not, this is not exactly what I want. It is, however, in some ways beneficial, because therefore, when I turn on the motor, this happens. You can see I'm kind of starting to get that type of movement I wanted, but obviously I want this to move quite a bit more significantly than it is. Now, because you can see it is kind of moving, it's kind of shaking, kind of how I want it to. However, because of the way I've built this and designed this, it means that if you've noticed when I've been showcasing this, oh, well, it stopped there. That's not a great sign, I'll be honest. This platform here and this platform here move at the exact same pace. If I switch it back on and you focus on both of these, you'll notice they go down and up together. Yeah, clearly there's issues I need to fix with this. That means that they don't move. That means they move in a consistent motion, so that it looks like it's kind of flapping like two wings, just going up and down like that. So what I now need to do is these sections here are too high. I've connected a brick, obviously I'll do more detailing to this, under the sections I showed earlier. So I need to bring those down a couple of plates maybe. Let's see, how high does this get at its peak? So at its peak, it's around about here, generally. So I reckon I can knock that down about 2 plates-ish worth of height. Meaning I can get these wheels lower, and I will need to build some supports under the back of here and the front of here in order to make this, well, stable and actually be able to allow the movement to work. So let me rework this slightly and come back to you once I think I've sorted things out. Okay, so I tried the Juggernaut on the original module and it didn't work. As you saw, it was too heavy, meaning that this thing didn't move at all. You can now see that I have reworked it, that, like, if I show you this angle, you can see that the wheels are actually connected from the underside of the actual vehicle. I've got some trans pieces in here and in here, so you don't really see there. But the main section is, as I said before, quite heavily connected to the base. So this thing does stay stable and doesn't move when I want to move around the whole module. You see the actual Juggernaut stays pretty still, meaning hopefully we won't have any disasters like the Trident droid on Camino or anything else like that. So yeah, basically I've got my motor, of course, hooked up to the battery box, and here's what it looks like when it gets going. You can see I've got the movement that I wanted going from that one, that one, that one, that one, that one, on a loop. Yeah, it's basically what I wanted. The effect doesn't work. I'll switch it off so the motor's not so loud. It doesn't give the direct effect that I wanted, because what I really wanted was this thing to shake and move, because I purposely built it like quite like maneuverable in the middle so that we would get some movement, but just the weight of the vehicle is so heavy on the motor and I just don't know how to make the motor more powerful. Again, if you know how to give it more power, let me know in the comments. But I just don't know anything about motors. It's not my forte. But yeah, here we are. This is pretty much, I think, where we can leave this module and call it finished. Okay, so I've done some digging, and of course after I finished the motion with it under the tires and being slightly raised, I noticed this, but I think we can all agree that it's just too high, and if I have it a plate lower, then it'll stop the mechanism every time. So I finally did it. I made the investment. I bought a bigger motor. If we compare the two side by side, you'll see that we've got a fair difference in size. And hopefully when I plug this bad boy into the mechanism, we should get to see some actual motion. And maybe even to the point where we can lay this thing on top of it again. Because that's really what I want at the end of the day. That would be my ideal situation, is this thing moving in the mock rather than just the ground moving underneath it. Because I know a lot of people were disappointed by that last episode. So I really want to do that for you guys. So here's what it looks like in the old system with the smaller motor. It moves at an okay speed, but the power is just not there, and it doesn't really look like the actual vehicle's moving. It's just disappointing. So let me pull out this motor, pull out the mechanism, get the new motor, big boy. We'll call this the big boy motor, and plug it into the mechanism if I can find the right space for the axle. There we go. Get the cable, plunk it down on top like that. So here we go, big boy motor's in. Let's see it move. Oh! Well, first things first, you can hear it is a lot louder. Look at that axle spin. This is also moving a lot faster. Wow. You can see the speed this was going is a lot faster. Like, look at that go. Now, I wonder if that'll be enough to have this thing balancing on top of it. I'm gonna have to try it, lads. Right, let's deconstruct this as it is, or let's just take off its spokes. I'll have to rework the underside of these two parts again, and then we'll get this on top and see actually how it moves. Let's do it. Okay, champs, here we go. Little motor's gone, big boy motor's in, and this is directly on the plates. Drop a comment now if you think this is going to work. Also drop a comment if you think it's not going to work. I'm going to say that it will work because I need it to work. And if it doesn't work, I'll cry because I don't have any more choices or options or ideas. So here we go. In 3, 2, 1... I love it. Yes, yes, yes. A small panel did fall off the back. But I mean, besides that... Is it not literally everything that I wanted? Again, also, the front roof, if you look at that carefully, is slightly popping off and on again. So I'll need to secure that down a little bit tighter, more than just gravity. But besides that... I'm super happy with this. I'm not going to keep doing it for now because it still has a slight chance it's going to fall directly off there and onto the floor, and we don't want that. We've had that too many times before. So I'll wait till I have the rest of the actual base going around it. But I'm so happy this has actually turned out to be not a complete disaster. The big boy motor worked. That's all it was. It was literally just the strength of the small motor, which I'll just move to some other smaller function. But I've done it. That's it. That's literally... I spent
about a month now. We're at week 4 working on this, and I finally got it working. I'm so happy. I'm so happy it's done.
And there we have it. That's another week of Building Morak in the books. Yeah, I know this episode felt a lot like doing something and then completely undoing it, but I think where we got to in the end was overall worth it. So I'm super happy with what we've got in that section now, and I can now move on. So there we go, and that's that. So thank you very much for watching this week's update. If you liked it, like the video. That's what the like button's there for. Comment if you think I've made the right decision, and if you're excited for the next part. And subscribe if you want to see next week's update, because you want to see where that module actually goes, right? Thank you so much for watching. As always, I really do appreciate it, and goodbye.